Hey everybody, it's Gary Lucas, and I am playing for you here in the West Village live, as I do every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday on Facebook at 3 p.m. And I was hoping that the snow would still be falling. It seems to have tapered off, but we have a bit of a snow day today, which I love. I mean, I grew up in Syracuse, New York, and I really do love the beauty of at least the first day of a fresh snowfall. After a couple of days, not so much, but you know how it goes. So all right, let's just get right down to it. Yeah. I should give a little preamble to this piece. Tomorrow is Holocaust Remembrance Day in the world. It's actually one of 3 Holocaust remembrances that take place every year, and this one is probably the biggest one celebrated internationally, or let's say commemorated. I don't think there's anything really to celebrate about the Holocaust. But to remind you, it marks the day that the Auschwitz death camp was liberated by the Red Army in 1945. And many years ago, I first was apprised of the Holocaust by my mom. I think this is in 1957, and I was a little shaver. And she read excerpts from the diary of Anne Frank that was in Look magazine, serialized 57. And then that horrified me, but she explained that our family, the reason we had no family left in Europe that we knew of, because they'd all perished in a similar related event during the Holocaust. In my case, my father's side of the family, I don't know too much about. My mom's side of the family, actually the family name in America was Goldman, but it had been changed from Pekarsky, that they were rounded up. Anybody who was left in the village that they hailed from, which was a town near Białystok, Poland, called Jedwabne. And then this barn was set on fire. And there were a few escapees who managed to tell the tale. But it was pretty much covered up, and so it was explained to me that's why we had no surviving relatives left in Europe. And this, of course, scared the hell out of me, the story. I mean, and then I was like, well, when did this happen again? And again, it was 1945. This pogrom took place. And just even, as a little boy doing the math, I was like, wait a second, that was only 12 years ago. I mean, even when you're a little kid and time seems infinitesimally lengthy, I mean, just the progression of time. I knew that wasn't that long ago. So ever since then, I've been very vigilant about new occasions and fluctuations in anti-Semitic content and thought in the world. And the latest thing that horrified me most recently were, probably all of you too were so horrified, the events of January 6th, because some of these QAnon followers and some of these alt-right white supremacists, were mingled in with somewhat outraged, I guess more or less normal, I don't know if I go that far, but, middle-class people probably who wouldn't espouse necessarily anti-Semitic views. And, there's a famous shot and photographs, and they've arrested this guy, the guy wearing a T-shirt that said Camp Auschwitz and other anti-Semitic slogans. So anyway, a few years ago I was invited to perform at the United Nations for Holocaust Remembrance Day, January 27th. I'm going to post it tomorrow because it'll be the occasion of, the proper occasion. This is 3 years ago. And I want to thank my friend Phil Mango and Jason Candler, who both of them worked at the UN, who kind of shoehorned me in there. But I played a piece before the General Assembly. This was the high point, I'd say, of my entire performing career. I mean, if somebody said, what was your most memorable gig, I'd have to say this. I mean, it was only about 4 minutes. But, I wailed my heart out with my arrangement of this piece by the Czech composer Janacek. And it's the Allegro number 15th from a suite of piano pieces called On an Overgrown Path. And Janacek was not Jewish, in fact. But the mood of this piece electrified me when I first heard a recording of it. This is how I decide what pieces to arrange that are not, strictly composed by myself. If I can feel a shiver, Nabokov said the frisson, it was like an electric tingling in my spine. It just convinces me it might be appropriate for a guitar interpretation. And I work like hell on this arrangement. I hunker down often when gigs slow down to generate a lot of new music. And so, anyway, I'll play it for you here now. come, you will, you say when you won't. Say you do, baby, when you don't. Let me know, honey, how you feel. You got that sand all over your heels. Well, honey, don't. Yeah, there's something about the key of E minor and how you can go from major to minor with just a little application of one finger. Here, I'm tuned to an E minor chord. And by placing my first finger on the third string on the first fret, I'm in E major. Simple as that. And that's a secret. That's a secret. Now it's revealed, but that's a foundation for many of my songwriting, and I love to go between major and minor. And if you analyze Grace and Mojo Pin, those instrumentals, there's a lot of that harmonic movement, and I think that makes them more lifelike. I think that's why they've struck a resonance with many people as songs per se. I mean, it's not a typical move by any means, this major to minor action, but a big exponent of this tuning system was the great Skip James, who's my favorite of all the country blues guitarists and singers. And well, I'm so glad, yes, I'm mighty glad, so tired of moaning for you. Well, I'm so glad, yes, I'm mighty glad, so tired of crying for you. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just leave off for a second while I scroll down the roll call of fame here and thank these people for being so generous. Stuart Thomas, thanks so much. He just purchased some merch, and it's winging its way to you, I hope, via my webmaster, Tanya Weeman, who's in charge of such things. Pete Nikolakakos. He wrote, love the vinyl, very cool stuff, be well. He got himself, I think, The Ordeal of Civility, the last Gods and Monsters studio album, produced by Jerry Harrison and featuring Ernie Brooks on bass from the Modern Lovers, Billy Fick on drums from Television, Jason Candler from the Hungry March Band on saxophone, Joe Handel from all sorts of ensembles on trombone and keyboards, and a bunch of other guest singers. But I'm basically doing all the heavy lifting and the vocals on that. So I'm glad you liked it. I know I got some great response from that album. Also from a lot of the regular viewers here. Colin John Campbell. Again, thank you. And last but not least, Mark Green, who's evergreen. He's totally reliable and supporting this program. And you have a lesson coming to you tomorrow. I think he wants to study and further demystify the secrets of the beef, Captain Beefheart. Particularly, I think Big-Eyed Beans from Venus and Grofens. Okay, so I'm working on that stuff. It's been a while since I played them, but yeah, I know how they go. Now, I mentioned I'm not really buying much in the way of new music or old music, but once in a while I do pick up some interesting albums. And okay, here's something on vinyl, which is Andrei Korzinski's music score for the great Andrei Julowski's motion picture Possession. So here we are in the mirror image. And I recommend, if you're a fan of horror film, particularly of the Rococo, semi-erotic variety, of which I guess the Giallo films of Italy in the 60s are some of the best, but also people like Jess Franco produced many masterpieces, and I think Zulawski is right in that category. Possession is one of those films you have to see. I mean, it's that intense and kind of, disconcerting a ride. And I have Caroline's here now with Lulu. One of the first dates that I took Caroline on, we went, I think this is going back to 1982, to a crumbling theater right off 42nd Street. I think it was 45th and 8th. It was about to be torn down. I mean, and it was a grindhouse theater, meaning that they showed basically very, very B picture in the, in the splatter genre and some erotic films, just kind of like, trash. But this here was like, I'd read advance notices of this film, and it had been hailed in Europe as a great art film. And the special effects were by Carlo Rambali, great Italian model maker, special effects guy who had done the alien monster based on my late friend H.R. Giger's paintings, but he devised the actual mechanical creature. I wonder if he worked on the giant mechanical bear that I've mentioned here before, that Don Van Vliet and the Magic Band were invited to take on in a film that's just finally seeing the light of day, called Grizzly 2, but that's another story. Anyway, I went to see this film also because one of my favorite actresses, Isabelle Adjani, great French actress and winner of the César Award, actually, for this film, as it turns out. She starred in it with a very good English character actor, Sam Neill, who you don't hear about too much. But the basic setup of this was a couple living in, I think it's Berlin, I gotta check this, in a city, it's been a while since I've seen it, but anyway, they're not having a very good time of it, and they're fighting incessantly. And she's stealing off during the day to visit, who knows, this isn't revealed till midway through the film, but ostensibly a lover. And he's bugged by this, and so they have screaming arguments, and then she starts breaking down in, the subway, in the metro. Actually, it's Paris. They filmed this in Paris, okay. In the Paris metro, there's an incredible one-take scene of her having a meltdown. This probably won her the César Award. And Isabelle is screaming her head off and kind of regurgitating all sorts of liquids, blood and pus, and, I don't know what else, and is thrashing as if she's having an attack of epilepsy. I mean, that's what it looks like. It's really intense, and she's really, really convincing. And anyway, eventually it is revealed towards the end of the movie that, in fact, the lover that she's going to see is this otherworldly, slimy alien monster, courtesy of Rambali. It's one of the most shocking images, I think, in cinema, the reveal here. And then they actually have a bit of close-ups of the two of them making love, and that's hard to take. But if you're an aficionado of such fantastical, this is about as close as I would get to gore, though there is no real gore in this film. But it's very nightmarish, and I can't recommend it enough. I don't know. Okay, so that's me. But otherwise, I avoid gore films. I don't like them. I think that was the worst thing that happened to horror films, actually, when stuff became too overt. But then again, most people in the world adore them. They're inured to the violence. They don't really take it seriously. I just find nothing redeeming about seeing eyeballs get gouged out, or really graphic displays of any sort of trauma on a human being, because there's too much of it going on in real life. And that, anyway, just to segue a little bit, I did the intro today in the caption with a Dutch phrase for thank you. And what's going on right now in my beloved Netherlands is really frightening. They've had 3 nights of mass protests, mainly young hooligans, it seems. But they're doing things like burning down vaccination centers and running amok, and it's kind of traumatized the nation in 12 cities. I mean, and I've played outside of Urg, which I never had heard of. I played in all these cities at one point or another in my career, big ones and little ones in the Netherlands. And it first broke out in Eindhoven, which is where I had a festival show on Halloween. So what can I say? It's just like the bad news continues. And but that's why I'm here, to try and cheer you up. So here, I'm going to go to a little sunnier climate here. That's it for now. What do they say in the UK? Bye for now. Let's look over the neighborhood briefly here. Maybe it's no. I was hoping that you would see a fine spray of snow going on here, but no. It's just kind of misty. It's very cold. And they're still working away. Sometimes during the day, the jackhammers are very loud on these buildings going up. But what do I care? What does Caroline care? We don't. And please enjoy your day. Stay safe. Keep your lamps trimmed and burning, as mentioned. I've posted a bunch of stuff. I don't want to be an alarmist or anything, but it's kind of a fraud period, is it not? And especially now with this transition. And I will recommend this piece in the New Yorker, which is the best single piece of coverage on the events of January 6th. I posted it earlier this morning, so scroll down the timeline. And I was late getting to it because often subscribe to a bunch of stuff and it comes in and sometimes it just stacks up and I don't get around to it or I'm engrossed in another book. But it's definitely worth reading and noting. And okay, until Thursday, I remain Gary Lucas. Love playing for you as always. And Lulu and Caroline say hi. Please visit my virtual tip jar if you like what you see in here. I really appreciate it. We all do. And I'll see you on Thursday, okay? Stay safe. Love you guys. Bye.